Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Eternal Flames. My name's Blaze, and welcome to Black Desert Online. This is an MMO where all kinds of things can happen, and you've got a lot of freedom, and let's face it, it is, gosh darn, beautiful. Seriously, look at that face. It's kissable, right? Anyways, so, let's go ahead and start off with some crafting, and then we'll get into some combat later, and then we'll talk about whether this game is for you or not for you. Crafting is kind of broken up into a couple of different things. Some stuff you can actually do here where you can actually dry, thinning, so there's different stuff that you can kind of do on your own in the middle of nowhere, which is kind of cool. So you could take a bottle of water and start refining the bottle of water into purified water and things like that, possibly getting more than your one bottle as several bottles, which is kind of cool. Other things you can do is stuff like cooking. Over here I've actually got a bunch of recipes. I apparently am very proficient at cooking beer. I can also do steamed fish, boiled eggs, and a couple other things, including a meat stew. Meat stew being obviously very delicious. And these recipes are all saved. Along with that, crafting is also split into another thing. To kind of show this off, I gotta show you a bit of the world map. Spoiler alert, I have a very small section of the map actually completed. There is a lot to this map. Feel free to explore at your leisure. I have not explored much. For the sake of talking about crafting, we're going to go ahead and talk about this. And this is a very complex system. I basically have bought a bunch of houses. Like, this is the start of a chain, and you can buy more things throughout the chain. And then here's my inventory in my town, so you can see I've vividly upgraded and filled my bank with all kinds of different things. And the other half of crafting is basically using this, buying towns and houses, converting them into workshops, and then saying, hey, I need this item. And that's the other half of crafting. Crafting is a lot more complex than one would probably appreciate, but such is the way of life. And if you're into some automation, you can actually get some workers, like let me click here, and have workers go mining nodes and stuff, getting your resources throughout the game. So crafting is split between two parts: stuff you do yourself, such as cooking and alchemy, and stuff like weapon crafting and stuff like that, that is done by your workers, who should hopefully be a little bit more proficient at it than some random guy going on adventures in the middle of nowhere. This also allows you to do every crafting thing instead of just one or the other. The other thing is you can do multiple different things on your own, including working with horses. Now I'm just going to check in my current mount, who just so happens to be gloriously named Grey Doom, and we're going to bring out Moo, one of my personal favorite horses. Also has a badass saddle. And we can ride around and we can actually train up this horse, teaching it to run faster, better, and everything else, also while training up ourselves. Down here you can see all the different capabilities of your character, including trading goods, hunting, fishing, training horses, alchemy, cooking, processing, gathering, and farming. All really cool things, and with a bit of work you can also get some really cool stuff. Like Moo is a tier 3 horse, you can get up to I believe like tier 7, tier 8, which is kind of badass. That is the basic crafting and some of the side stuff. It also has active fishing in that, but some of you guys are going, well, what about the combat? What about the story? Story is actually done through this guy. Now, I've got my guy upgraded a little bit, but he actually gets a lot different as the game progresses. This is like his second form, which is kind of cool. He's going to do enhancements, transfusions, item reforming, but he also gives you a number of quests that will progress your storyline, and he is always with you. So you don't have to travel halfway across the country just to see one guy and run back if you want to progress story. Not to say that, you know, there aren't still some parts like that, because you gotta meet certain people. Okay, so that's story, and it all revolves around that little dude that we just saw. What about combat? Combat is
context sensitive.
no. What do I mean by that? Scarecrow Birdie, can you take over for me?
It means context sensitive. It's sensitive to context.
Okay, good job, Scarecrow Birdie. Basically what he's saying is whenever you do an action, it relies on context. So moving left or right is going to change how a move works. Hitting the right button compared to the left button on your mouse is going to change how you work. There's also blocking, power attacks, and kicks, which also all work based off of what direction you're working on. Like, if I move forward, this is my kick, which is a charge. If I move backwards and kick, I basically do a double, heel kick. And then, there's all these other kinds of moves, which can all be seen here. This is your skill tree. It's not like WoW. It's gonna change quite a bit, and there's a lot of moves to learn. Some of which are really cool, and it gives you a little guide so you can learn more. Ow, something hit me. I was beat up by bees. Because why not? Fucking bees. Anyways, so combat is fairly diverse. Crafting is very, very complex, but well worth it, and travels across characters. Which means that once you've made your account, this system is interconnected with all your characters. What's that? The lore's not enough for you? How about this? Here's a bunch of lore. You can literally learn stuff about every single NPC you meet in the game, even if just a little bit, throughout the entire thing, learning all their stories. And they give more information beyond this. You can actually have conversations with them, which are a little bit weird, but it's whatever. And if you don't like people, then how about we talk about special trade managers? How about we talk about topography? Let's talk about different landscapes. You can learn about all of this. If that's not enough lore for you, go read a book. No, seriously, go read a book. There's a lot of books out there that are like really good for that kind of stuff. In this case, the game gives you books and books and books of information. I'm pretty sure they could write a novel on this stuff, which is really cool, actually. So, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Good things, bad things, stuff like that. Good things. Combat. Combat in this game feels fluid. I can actually move around, change my position, change my attacks, and there's a flow and feel that I can honestly throw down constantly and just feel awesome. Combat doesn't feel clunky or broken or anything like that. So yeah. What about story? Story is actually interesting. I won't say it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I won't say it's the worst thing. Is it something you can get into? Yeah. Is it something that you have to deal with? Not really. Matter of fact, you can actually skip parts of the story, which if you've already played through the game on one character, you don't want to see like every cutscene and go through everything all over again. You just want to be you, right? And it gives you that option. You don't have to do every single quest you come across to level up. It's really fun. Okay, well, what about questing? Is questing actually interesting and engaging? Yeah, it's actually a lot better than I would say WoW's system or a couple others. I found it truly a lot more engaging and interesting. What about PvP? PvP could be better. I haven't really engaged in too much PvP, and what I've found of it, I'm not exactly the fondest of, but such is life. You kind of live with it. Okay, well, what about crafting? Crafting is really in depth. This is one that I'm gonna say is good, but it's gonna come down to personal taste. You're really, really gonna have to dig in and grind a bit to get this really going. Okay, so what are some bad things? The overall grinding. Let me get my mouse up here, and you can see over here that there's an energy bar and there's contribution points and stuff like that. This takes a lot of work. Thankfully, these are like account wide, so every character I make from now on will have 105 crafting energy. This allows me to, chop wood, go mining, fish water out of a river, go fishing, stuff like that. But getting that high takes a lot of time and investment, and people have even said having a full thing of energy like you just saw on my thing is actually a waste. Like, if you have it full, you've done something wrong. So I just spent a bunch of my points. The game can be severely grinding. It takes a lot of work and effort to really get far into, and to get your huge Omega dynasty of crafting, you gotta put in a lot of work. And when I say a lot of work, I mean you gotta put in some time and effort to get all these nodes, find all these nodes. That's right, you have to find the nodes that you connect to your crafting network to make everything work, which can be really, really tedious. So, what's the good things about the game? Combat, storyline, and lore, as well as crafting, is interesting. What's the downsides? Grindy. Grindy. I will say it does have some automated systems. Like, I could actually set up my horse to specifically run around in a circle, which increases my training, but also increases its level, meaning it's going to be a stronger and better horse, which is awesome. So it takes some of the grinding out, and obviously having workers, such as these guys right here, is also going to be pretty badass. This is going to save you a lot of time as well. Okay, so is this game for you? Do you like adventure? Do you like roaming the land, learning new things, digging up lore, high action combat? Game's for you. Excuse me. On the contrary, do you like, or if you don't like grinding, if you don't like a lack of constant, direction, like where you should always be at any given time, like this is the zone you want to be, or this is the zone you want to be, or this is the zone you want to be, this may not be the game for you. This game is going to be very grindy. You do have to interact with people. You do have to fight for some resources. It takes some effort, and it takes some work to really get things going. And that's a thing. You got to be ready and willing to put in time and effort. So if you really don't want to spend hours and hours and hours, just doing quests, running around, helping people, or gathering stuff, may not be the game for you. Okay. So what am I going to leave you guys with? Is there something I really, really just want to say and just kind of leave you guys going, yeah, this game, the biggest serious con I'm going to say is you have to pay with PayPal. Apparently, they had a issue with credit cards and things like that, and at some point they just only go through PayPal and stuff like that, which doesn't make sense to me. It's also not on Steam. You're gonna have to look this game up. I'll put a link to the website down below, but just, fair warning, that is a situation and you need to be ready for that, sadly. Can I say anything else? Not really. Honestly, come join the game, come have fun, come, join a couple of my friends and family, and just have a good time. Other than that, take care, stay safe, stay well, and zombie horse! Zombie horse! Come back, zombie horse! I want to pet you! Zombie horse! Well, petting a zombie horse actually sounds like a horrible idea. Later, everybody! Bye! Okay, this horse is awesome. Look at that. Sleek black armor, gold trim. Man, this thing's like the fucking Mercedes of horses.